are fun. I run a charity called Cancer Gets Lost, and there is currently a ConAgeddon Cancer Gets Lost charity auction online, and you can find the details on Twitter and cancergetslost.org. But without further ado, why don't we bring up Bob Marley? Would you like that reel?
Nice to see you. Yes, it's nice to see you. Yeah. I mean, it's all my sad stuff. And the 3 smiles that I did over 5 seasons. Yeah.
Well, before we get to the Q&A, which is going to be a lot of this panel, I mean, can you spoil us and just tell us if you smile at all in season 5? Trick question.
Yeah, it's probably like crying, smiling, or something like that. There's probably one in there.
That's good. We all have hope. We have some questions that fans submitted online, but mostly we're going to open up to Q&A here, so I'll start with some fan questions. So, at Belark in Space, great name, I'd like to know, if Bellamy had Nightblood, do you think he would have stayed behind to wait for Clark?
Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't know if it was going to work. I mean, he had hope for it. That's a good question.
Sorry with the hardball questions here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he would have waited longer for sure, but you know, he only realizes that Nightblood works like when he gets back down to the ground. So, yeah, I thought about it when we were shooting. He's probably like, damn it, I knew it. I knew it would work. It's yeah, I don't know about that one. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, yes, not just for Clark though, but for his sister. Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course. Yes, your responsibility.
That's right.
Although looking at the trailer for season 5, that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a very like Octavia heavy season, and that story is pretty wild. And you know, I got to work a lot with Marie, and it's. Yeah, I mean, the Blakes are always like struggling to get along, but this season in particular is like, yeah, it's kind of like the real height of that.
Right. Speaking of family, Arctic Bellamy would like to know, do you have any idea who Bellamy's father is?
No, I'm not too sure. Like, you know, I would, you know, I like to pretend that it's Ian, obviously. Yeah.
Ian specifically, not Kane, but Ian.
Okay, Ian. Yeah, Ian from when he was in Lost.
Right.
Yeah. Desmond.
Best answer ever.
Yeah. But no, I think that, you know, the Blakes have different fathers, you know, because Mum used to use her sexuality as a commodity to get Bellamy to become a cadet and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I doubt they have the same father.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I hope that, you know, I hope we get to season 6, and I hope that if there is, we can explore a little bit more of the backstory of the Blakes.
Yeah, actually, there is a mention of some like backstory of the Blakes, so that should be interesting to see what happens there.
Nice. Ooh.
But it's very small little nod to something. Yeah.
That is something that people will run with though and be excited about to look forward to. So at Jojo Ali Jarala, sorry if I mispronounced your Twitter name, how is Bellamy different as a leader now compared to previous seasons?
I think now he's definitely taken on the head and the heart mentality, and you know, talking to Jason about it, I was like, you know, what did they do for that 6 years up in space? And he's like, well, basically like Bellamy and Raven were like, you know, these co-captains, and they kind of ran the whole thing together, and so it feels like there's kind of like a regimented daily routine that they have to keep, otherwise they'll go insane. So I think he really employs the, you know, like a rational approach to living up there, and I think that he's quite sensible throughout the whole season. Maybe maybe like too much so. Like I'm used to him like usually lashing out and getting like, you know, killing 300 people. This season he's very much he's much more level-headed.
And so Bellamy in season 1 through 5 is so different. I mean, we obviously only know 1 through 4, but has this been particularly challenging, or what has been your favorite aspect of playing this version of Bellamy?
Well, it was challenging and exciting in the sense that like I was very frustrated because I was like, he didn't feel like the character that I'd been playing for 4 years, and you know, Jason and the writing team were like, yeah, they have a plan, and I was like, really? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But you know, as the season went on, I saw what they were developing and what they were pushing towards. You know, And you know, when they write it, they've put the 6-year time jump in, but for me, it's only been 6 months since I last played him. So I feel like he's still the same guy that I was playing 6 months ago, but he's totally changed, you know. So that was a hard one for me to get my head around.
Yeah, I bet. The 6 years, I mean, you still look the same, but you do have facial hair. So
yeah, I grew some facial hair.
You grew some facial hair, yeah. Now, this is a question that we're asking a lot of the cast that is submitted a lot online, which is if you, Bob Morley, had a choice between going up in space with 6 people for 6 years or going underground with 1,200 for 6 years, what would you do?
I don't know, because they both feel just as claustrophobic to me. Yeah, maybe 1,200 just because there's more people.
Right.
You can you can get away from them. But also that spaceship's quite huge, so you can kind of get your own alone time and stuff. But I wonder, like, there'd be no internet access or anything like that. But you know, I feel like on the Ark they'd have all these like logs from the computers, so that's kind of pretty important.
Bellamy seems like a book nerd, and he would enjoy reading those logs.
Yes, I think so, for sure. Yeah.
Good question. Hey, listen, let's open up to audience questions. This is what we're here for. This is a con for you. So there is a mic in the middle. Don't be shy. We have plenty of time. And, you know, thank you for asking your questions and being constructive and kind. Here we go.
I'm wearing 2 shirts.
Are you warm?
Yeah. But it's so cold outside. In the air.
And you have your beanie. How many Blake things do you own?
And they kind of just, it grows at every convention. We're just bringing them. Yeah, I mean, you know, it just started in San Diego where Ricky and I were like, we should just get hats.
Yeah, he had a Linktavia hat.
Yeah.
Nice. Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm Shauna, and I know that you read a lot, and I know that you also shadowed some of the directors and you said you wanted to direct. Are there any books that you've been reading that you think, I would love to direct a movie of that book?
Yeah, there's a lot of these Tom Robbins ones. But one of them got turned into a movie, I think, Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. But there's like Still Life with Woodpecker that I like, and Half Asleep in Frogskin Pajamas, but they're so meta that it'd be really hard to turn that story into like a comprehensive movie or a coherent movie. So yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Actually, there is one book called Age of Magic as well by this guy Ben Ockery, which is quite good, which you can probably turn into a movie.
Momita again here.
Hey.
I have 2 small questions.
Yeah.
Like one is, what type of scene do you love to do more, action or emotional?
If you can like put them both together, it's pretty sweet. Yeah. And there's a fair few of those actually in season 5. But I don't know. I mean, they both have their merits. You know, it's kind of hard to pick one or the other. Especially if you love performing, then anything you get to do performing-wise is great. So yeah, I would definitely go an emotional scene over it, like just a straight action scene. Yeah.
And the last question is like, I'm a huge Greek mythology nerd, and I love Hades. And when I read Greek mythology, I imagine Bellamy as Hades, and the 100 characters basically.
Yeah.
So my question is that, would you be able to, would you like to do any historical or mythological series or films if it comes to your way?
You know, like they were shooting the Pacific in Melbourne years ago, and I really do enjoy every documentary about World War II, and I'd love to do something in that. But they didn't have many halfies back then, so they're usually a 19-year-old white kid. Yeah, so there's not many tan freckled guys that are, I was joking, I was maybe I could play a double agent. But, yeah, but I'd love to do something in World War II, but unfortunately, these half castes weren't really that predominant back then. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And everybody knows whom I imagine as Persephone. Thank you.
Hi, Bob.
Hey.
So I have 2 questions.
How's your first con going, by the way?
It's amazing.
Yeah?
Oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed by everything that I've seen.
Excellent, excellent.
So my
And how did you guys like last night as well?
Oh, that was
pretty
wild. I
wild,
loved it.
I'm sorry I had to bounce out. I was
okay.
dead on my feet, and everyone was trying to get me to dance. My ankle's totally injured, so I was I gotta get out of here. before I hurt myself again. Hey?
Thank you for all the hugs.
Oh, yeah, no worries. I'm a hugger. You know.
Alright, so my first question is, I really like Monty and Bellamy's friendship. I think it's one of the most underrated in the show. And
I love working with Chris.
At the end of season 4, we see both of them having lost someone extremely important to them. Obviously, it's like with Monty's best friend, with Bellamy's wife. So even if we don't necessarily see it in the flashbacks, do you think that Bellamy and Monty shared a lot of viewing together up on Friday?
There's actually that friendship in particular is highlighted quite a lot in season 5. So
yeah. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, we got to do some really nice work together. So yeah, it was good. It was really good actually. Yeah, after 5 years to kind of really get to. I mean, you know, Devin was hogging him the whole time, so I finally got a chance to work with him.
All right, and my second question is, because the 100 is on the CW, that obviously limits a lot of what the script can do. So if the script had more liberty with the dialogue, how do you picture Bellamy as someone who would swear a lot?
I think he'd swear on his own, in that scene I think that we saw where he was in the Jeep and he couldn't get to those people. But no, I don't think so. I don't think with you know, in general, in public that much. I mean, he's still an older brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think he'd swear that much.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Clark would have a potty mouth.
Oh yeah.
Murphy?
Oh yeah, Murphy. That's all he'd say. Fair words.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, your pumpkin queen has not thought this out today, so. Okay, people don't know this by looking at me, but I actually really love football.
Oh yeah?
Because
American football?
Yeah, that's all we have in Nebraska, in addition to the corn.
Corn and football.
But Australian football is different, right?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Can you just tell me about Australian football?
It's kind of hard to explain, but basically it's like rugby, soccer, American football, ice hockey, you know, lacrosse, all put into one, and then everyone wears really tiny shorts. And at the end, when you win, you get to sing a song.
Is it very violent? I've heard that it's
it's pretty brutal, and it's, you know, I grew up playing AFL, and you know, my brother was quite good at it, and he actually ended up getting injured and having to get a metal plate in his face, and then Mum was like, okay, you're not playing football anymore. And thanks for saving my face. Yeah.
I'm glad your mom saved your face.
Hey.
Anyways, based off the sizzle reel that we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, we obviously know that now you know who Bellamy is.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can say about their first meeting and how their relationship will be this year?
I don't know if there is anything I can say about that. Yeah. But yeah, no, I can say that Lola is like a phenomenal little actor. Yeah, she's gonna have a huge career ahead of her, and she's such a sweetheart as well. So I can say that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not too sure. But it's kind of great to have that new dynamic, especially for Clark. You know, for her to go to take her character in a different direction. I'm excited for Clark's story as well, because it's just a different you know, woman that we've seen from before. So yeah, it's exciting.
Thank you.
No worries. Hey.
Hi. I'm Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
I have a question about there's a scene in I think it's season 3 after the whole issue with Octavia, where you guys are on the beach and she kind of picks up a stick and your eyes follow it, almost like you're nervous about kind of what she might do with it. And I'm just wondering if that's if stuff like that is in the script, or if you make those choices in the moment.
Yeah, that was totally an acting choice. Is that, it's like when she throws the stick into the fire and it goes green?
Yeah. You kind of follow it.
I don't know, it was probably just like a kid looking at the keys. I'm easily distracted. So, yeah, I wish I could claim that. Yeah, but no.
A lot of us thought maybe he was still nervous about her being physically.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Picked up on that. Yeah.
I mean, Bellamy's always fearful for her, but do you think at any point Bellamy was fearful of Octavia?
I mean, yeah, there's and definitely, I don't want to give anything away, yes. She's a Blake after all. Yeah, and they're pretty temperamental. So.
Hi.
Hello.
So yesterday you started talking about Wells a little bit and how in the book, Wells is Bellamy's half-brother. Well,
Yeah.
and we know the show in the book is separate.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Wells had lived, what do you think their relationship would have been like?
I don't know, it would have been like, even with like Finn and Wells and Bellamy, it would have been a totally different dynamic, I think. And then even in the beginning, even in the pilot, Bellamy is like, you're a smart kid, Wells, and all that kind of stuff. I think there was a level of respect, but he just resented him because of his father. So I think they could have grown into a friendship and possible kind of leadership thing. I think he would have been he's probably like that. He would have been the head and the heart, basically, I think. It's probably why they had to get rid of him, because he was too sensible. It wasn't dramatic enough. But yeah, I think they would have developed a friendship and an understanding, in a relatively peaceful world. But yeah, we know that that's not the world that the Hunter lived in, so yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, this is fabulous.
Thank you. So one of the things I'm most excited for
Sorry, I'm totally distracted. Like I said, it's like a tropical fish. Yeah, that's cool. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, one of the things I'm most excited for in the new season is to see kind of how the connections and relationships with the characters in the space crew grow and change over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you could, using one word for each character, describe Bellamy's either opinion of or relationship to the rest of the space crew.
Space crew. Huh. Okay.
If you can't say anything now, maybe say what he thinks of them at the beginning.
Yeah.
If you don't want to
Well, I never played him at the beginning of it either. I played him at the end of that 6 years, so those relationships were already developed. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it and I don't want to get fired. So, if you've got another question that I can possibly help you out with.
Let's see.
I'm sorry, yeah. And also it's my brain capacity is pretty low right now.
A few days.
Yeah. Well, in general as well. Yeah.
If Bellamy was because I know up on the arc they had access to some old pop culture things. So what TV show, movie, book, pop culture items from this time do you think Bellamy would be all about if you discovered them?
Yeah, and you know what I found weird is they were watching some sort of baseball game from the 70s or something like that. And I'm like, it wasn't even in high def, guys. I think that's odd. What would Bellamy be into? I think he probably would be a bit of a Game of Thrones kind of guy. Yeah, I'm not necessarily, I've watched it all, but I'm not a huge fan. But yeah, I think he'd be into that, and maybe Vikings and all that stuff. The, what is it, swords and sandals type thing.
Black sails.
Black sails, oh yeah. He would love that. Yeah, there's that too. He would love Zack and Shepard. Yeah, something like that.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you. Probably Gladiator as well. Yeah, he totally would. You see the way he does those speeches at the start? Yeah.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm Mary. I asked the girls this yesterday, but if you could have Bellamy go through another character's storyline or plot, what would it be?
I like the one that came to me first was Raven, because I kind of like that story, but that's for me. But I also like Octavia's story as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'd happily take any of those. Kane. because Ian always gets days off and goes back to Hawaii. Yeah, and I think, I mean, like in everyone, I think we've got like such a talented cast. So, you know, they're the ones. I mean, and the writers do such an amazing job as well. But yeah, those guys really like make the stories quite attractive and interesting. So, yeah.
Do you have like a specific one in mind?
In mind, that I'd like to see Bellamy go through. One that I think would be organic for him, or one that I would be like, oh, let's just chuck him like fish out of water into this thing.
Whichever one.
Okay. Because I could see him like going. I could see Bellamy having the same traits as Pike for sure. And Pike was very much like Bellamy in season 1. But it's just, I don't know. You know, what's the Dante's son's name? Cage. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Bellamy go through that. Yeah. Cage is like such a strange guy. Like season 2, I feel like I forget about sometimes. But I really like season 2 as well. Thank you.
That Weather Bellamy is very popular.
Yeah, I know. And then, yeah, season 3, Bellamy's not that.
You had your John McClane moment. It was great.
Yeah, but season 2, yeah, that was pretty fun.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
You guys do a lot of crazy things on set. Have you ever been injured after shooting a scene?
Yeah, well, season 1, and it seems like pretty innocuous. There was like this scene, it's so silly, like going down this hill. You know, there's Octavia falls down this hill in season 1, and you know, Bellamy goes down it or whatever. But I ended up like tearing like a ligament in my knee just on that. But there was a scene where I broke my hand, and it's in, I think it's season 3. Anyway, it's where like we're at the trading post with Nyla's thing, and she hears that I was there and in the massacre, and I go outside and kick this thing over and then punch the like something metal thing, right? And initially it was supposed to be like I just kind of like punch a tree or whatever, something like that. But the tree was too far away, so they're like, oh, we'll just make it this thing. It was just like a big metal crate. And the stunty team's like, well, we didn't prepare for that. We dressed the tree so Bob can hit it. And they're like, well, he has to hit this thing. And I'm like, oh, you know, it's fine, just put a little bit of padding in there. And like the first take, I went, oh, that hurt. The second take, when they were going on and it was a crane shot for the opening. So like, you know, they'll shoot wide and then come closer as you go through the scenes. So they're doing the wide, and I'm punching this crate thing, and I knew that I'd broken my hand once the second time I'd hit it. And then they're like, oh, cut, because the crane accidentally went behind a tree. Didn't see any of it. And so then we kept carrying on with the scene, and then like Marie and Chris turn up, and I was still like punching the thing. I was like, you know what, I'll just go carry on. And you can actually kind of see me, like Marie like didn't hit her mark, and I was like, kind of pushed her back to her mark, because I was like, I'm about to pass out. My hand was like so big. I was like, yeah, we gotta get this scene shot, because this is really bad. So I broke my hand and injured my knee. I mean, they're not even the worst ones. There was one time where, not like worse, but there were like some that were just like Eliza's hair caught on fire. It was. Did you like? Oh, I know. Yeah. It was like the pink smoke stuff that goes out. It actually like when it comes out, it's like quite hot. And like Eliza, I think was wearing like the wig, like the hairpiece, and like so she didn't know. And like the other guy, Toby, was like, it's like you're on fire. And because there was all the pink smoke as well, like no one really knew. But yeah, there are things like that, you know. Yeah, with the spear, Marie with the spear in her eye, that was like pretty harrowing. Yeah, so. Yeah, and that was, you know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, like just little mistakes and stuff like that. And, you know, that's why you got stunt people. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi. This is my question. This is my friend Hannah's question. She's sitting over there. We saw Bellamy grow so much over 2 seasons, and then he massacred 300 Experiment soldiers. What do you think his breaking point was? Pike seemed to be consistent, right?
What was that last bit?
What do you think his breaking point was? Because Pike seemed to convince him that, you know, his side was right.
You know, I think that there was this growing resentment within him. Like I mean, he went into Mount Weather without, like, you know, without anyone's help. Like, Lincoln abandoned him, Raven couldn't help him. He gets in there, and, you know, Echo does help him, and he manages to, like, stop the Veil. This one thing that was, like, destroying the ground of his lives for I don't know how many years. And then he releases them and gets them from being stopped from turning into Reapers. And then he gets out and he finds out that Clark, like, let a bomb drop where his sister was. And then he gets out and finds out that Lexa has got in the army and walked off. You know, and then he's like, oh, okay, so we get nothing from this. And then at the start of season 3, like, basically the Sky Crew is, like, not allowed out of their compound unless they're allowed to ask, am I allowed to go out here? Am I allowed to do this? The Grounders are using their they're coming in and using their medical facilities. And so I think that he feels like they're getting a raw deal in a way. You know, of course he wants peace, but then to have this army settle outside, an army of 300 that he's been betrayed by before, you know, Pike's ideologies, in a way, they did represent something that Bellamy had been thinking about. And, you know, I wish that there was more story, like I got to play more of that story out, and this side of the story was explained to the audience, but, you know, there's only so much time in an episode, so, yeah, like a lot of people are like, yeah, that, you know, didn't seem like Bellamy, but I had to work really hard at convincing myself that that is who he was at that given time. So, you know, yeah, and it doesn't make many people happy that I'm like, you know what, I don't think Pike was wrong, but yeah, I think it's kind of true to who Bellamy was, so, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, this is the same Bellamy that pulled the lever with Clark in Mount Weather and was willing to do it, and, you know, Clark burned 300 Grounders alive, so it's interesting now, you know, despite the fact that, you know, they were under attack when Clark burned the Grounders, and, you know, you felt that you were under attack with Pike, Bellamy gets more of a worse, or gets hell for it more than Clark does.
Yeah, there's like, both of them have done some pretty horrible things, you know, but, yeah, I mean, that one, you know, this army this peace army, to those guys, like to Pike and the rest of the Sky Crew, like, and this is the one thing I think people don't remember, is Pike won leadership in a landslide whilst he was in jail. Like, the rest of Sky Crew were on board with this. It was just, the story was just like, you'd hear the stories from, like, Clark and Lexa and Octavia's side, and obviously, you know, so there was just a big discrepancy in which side of the story you were hearing throughout that season.
We know you and Mike Beach would have loved to film more together.
Oh yeah, and you know what the funniest thing was? There was a day, because, you know, obviously Ian, who plays Kane, he was obviously for peace, and Pike was for war. And there was one day where we were shooting this scene. It's actually the scene where they're putting Kane to be executed, that scene. And so we're sitting around that table and kind of having a chat about it. And then, like, Ian and Beach just start, like, kind of, like, I was sitting there and they're like, I felt like they're both trying to convince me. I called them my two dads. And they ended up, like, this conversation, this somewhat of a debate, kind of, like, took over for about half an hour on set. And then I was like, guys, can we kind of just shoot this scene? Like, I'd like to go home now. But yeah, it got kind of heated and it was brilliant. And then I think that, because it generated that conversation, that's why, you know, they told that story, so, yeah.
Next question.
Sorry.
Hey, Mom. I would love to hear about all the dogs on set. Like, you have to play with all the time.
Oh, man. It's like Chewie's just, like, he's like a horse, basically. Yeah. But yeah, like, Jared's got a small dog, I've got 2 small dogs. Eliza's got a, you know, Bowie. Tassie has this tiny little thing called Nars. And they all, like, play around together, but then, like, Chewie comes out, and basically he's just, like, killed them by standing there. So it's kind of, yeah, but Chewie's on set most of the time. And it's kind of fun for a little bit, and then, like, if you're doing a scene, and then it's like, this dog just runs behind you, and you're like, okay, guys, okay, let's get back to work, you know. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's kind of like, it got silly, and then there's also, like, the wardrobe team, they've got dogs, and then the stand-ins have got dogs as well. Like, it can get a little bit stupid. Like, it actually will, like, this has got to kind of stop. Yeah.
Nice to have a comfort from home, but maybe not every single one.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And especially we were shooting in this big, like sand pit. My dogs are like part poodle. And, man, like they were just totally dreadlocked, and my trailer was just full of sand. I was like, I'm sorry, Teamsters, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are obviously pretty close as a cast. And so I was just kind of curious, in real life, if you could take a trait from one of the cast members and give it to Bellamy, what would it be?
Probably take Sachin's joy for life and give it to Bellamy. Or even maybe Jared's like sarcastic nature, you know. And I mean, well, you know what? Like Lindsay is like one of those kind of superhero people in general, where she's like, oh yeah, no, I ran like 50 miles this morning kind of thing. You know, it's
overachiever.
Yeah, you're like, nah, it's too much. I don't know what planet you're from. But I do feel like, you know, I was gonna say, oh, I take that from Lindsay, but like, most of the characters on the 100, like Raven and Bellamy and Clark, have got like such a huge like wealth of motivation. Like it's like, there was like one day where, like especially season 1, and you know, I was trying to map out like, okay, so we went from here to here and here, and I was like, and you're only saying like a day has passed or 2 days have passed. And they're like, oh, maybe 3 days have passed. And I was like, so he's been running for 3 days without sleeping. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, that sounds like something Lindsay would do.
Raven in a brace would beat Bellamy probably in a race.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions actually.
Uh-huh.
The first one is, who would you love to have guest star in episode?
Oh, Meryl Streep.
After Big Little Lies, if you guys get a season 6, we should totally hook her up.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you know what, I think she'll be available. And I'm sure she's gonna want to come.
Totally.
Yeah, you know, she'll be there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, any of those great actors. Yeah.
The second question is, do you ever, when you're not filming, accidentally slip into the Bellamy voice? And can you say something in Bellamy's voice?
I feel like because I'm losing my voice already, I kind of sound like him. But yeah, like, I mean, sometimes, like, yeah, with my dogs, I'll be like, on your bed! Yeah, okay, Bellamy.
Do you ever like order room service in the Bellamy voice so they like, you know, no accent?
No, it's so funny. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's so weird you have no accent on the show. I'm like, no, it's so weird you all have accents. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. We have some more internet questions. We
Okay.
have time, I believe. So, at Quillen Boots would like to know, what is the one art flashback you would have liked to have seen that we haven't seen thus far that would provide deeper insight into the show or to Bellamy?
I don't know actually. Like I think like some of like the earlier stuff, like when Jahar and everyone else was getting to play, but I think they cover that pretty well with like the yeah, like with the Griffins. What was her dad's name? Was it Jake? No. It was Jake? Yeah. Yeah, I thought they covered that pretty well. Actually, you know, like I would have liked to have seen the Wells, like actually I think in the book though it's different. In the book, Wells like cuts down the last tree. Yeah, that's where I was getting confused because they did a different story on our show. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
we don't know Bellamy. When we first meet you, you're like this rebellious, I shot the chancellor. It would be interesting to lead up to that.
Well, I feel like you kind of see the lead up to that a bit. But also in the books, like because now that I'm thinking about the arc stuff, it's like these memories that I have of it are the ones from the first book. Because I read the first book, and we went, like, that's quite different from what we're shooting, so kind of deviated my mind from that. But Bellamy is like I feel like he's like in the black market, kind of dealing stuff with his friend. Like I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know if you guys have read that, but yeah, he was a bit of a rebel, kind of in that sense. But yeah, mate, actually, you know what? The Monty Green and Jasper's, like with the weed stuff, was pretty funny. Miller and Brian. Miller and Brian, like, was his boyfriend in jail the whole time? Or was Brian in jail too? Like, you know.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah. So, when were they like pen pals and that's how they met? You know?
Someone's gonna write that fan fiction right now.
Yeah. But that story would be interesting. I actually, you know, oh my God, Katie Stewart played her, Monroe. There was, I don't know if it made it into the show, but there was a line where, I think it was in the episode My Sister's Keeper, where we're all traveling down and they're like, okay, pick your weapons, there's gonna be a small group of us, and we're going. And I think it's either Jasper or Monty. I think Jasper is like, oh, you know, Monroe's looking at you. Be careful with her. You know she killed her last boyfriend. And that's why she was in prison.
That did not make the show as far as I know.
Yeah. Because and Katie would be sitting there like, looking at like Chris.
I actually think a lot of people agree that Monroe obviously had a very sweet friendship with Bellamy, and they cared for one another. And like, you know, when she died, it was like it broke Bellamy's heart.
Yeah, no, and I love Katie. Katie's just such a little legend. So, yeah, that would be cool to see.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
I have a comment first. I just love how you spontaneously just give us all of this extra stuff, and how some of us have.
I told you I get distracted really easy.
And then things that you don't remember that we have to fill in for you. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you about was if you've ever had a voice coach for any of your other roles, or for this particular role of Bellamy.
Yeah, I had a voice coach for. I did this film in Tel Aviv. I had to learn some Hebrew and speak with an Israeli accent, so I had to kind of like, that was one I definitely had to like learn the nuances of. You know, like there's like a lot of these programs that I think a lot of Australians use, like you know, with like learning how an American accent, but with like Bellamy and more recently, like I've just noticed that I should like try and drop my accent into a lower register for when you're playing an American, because like when I first came out, I think I was doing an American accent quite high, and it's like it was actually kind of nerdy, and it just didn't look right with the way that I am. So yeah, like it's more of a self-monitoring thing, and yeah, like you know, it's the worst when you're doing a scene or you're doing an audition, and you end up. You can hear yourself not saying it correctly or just not sounding phonetically right. So like yeah, it's one of those things you really want to iron out before you go into it and do an audition. Otherwise, it can really like get in your head. Yeah, no
like saying Unity Day.
Well, I mean, I'm losing my voice so much, but Unity Day.
Hi. Basically, I just have a question. I think you mentioned last year that you and Lindsay like have different ideas of how your characters react to certain situations.
Yeah.
Flash about that. But there was one scene in particular that you guys like essentially had to go to your own corners afterwards. Do you remember which scene it was?
I don't know. Like, well, I don't know which scene it was, but yeah, it's just funny, like, because you know, like Bellamy, like if someone's like, yeah, he's like arrogant, he's terrible, he's a horrible person, I'm like, yeah, like I totally agree with you. Like I'm not, and that's totally fine with me. But when I was like sitting there being like, Raven's probably like, I was like, Raven's one of the most arrogant characters. She's like so self-reliant and so stubborn, and this is like, no, she's not. I'm like, yeah, she is. Yeah. So that was what like kicked it off, and I was like, okay, all right, fine. It's you know, I don't recall the scene, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, I do feel like Raven. Like I mean, she's amazing and awesome, but she's so stubborn as well that it's detrimental to her. So that's all I was trying to say, Lindsay. That's all I'm saying.
It's interesting because I think the fans. Like one of the attributes they love about Raven is that determination and that she is driven and she never gives up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I feel like it can be a double-edged sword thing. Yeah. No worries, thank you.
I was just here with her, so hi.
Okay.
This actually goes along with a recent question. At Scoots Blake, sorry. Since The Hunter was your first American acting role, did you feel the need to do anything differently than you normally did when preparing to audition for this show?
Well, I mean, the American auditioning process is a lot longer than Australian. Like there was like 7 auditions or something like that, and there's like testing and like with the network and stuff like that. So not really like any audition. I like to prepare quite thoroughly and just be really solid in my choices. So yeah, not anything too different. Yeah, than the way I usually prepare.
Before we end this panel, because we're on a time crunch here, we have a minute, but I wanted to ask if you would like to promote any other projects besides the 100 that you might be able to promote?
Well, there's like a really huge one that I'm waiting to hear back, and I should hear back on Monday, so tomorrow. So yeah, just send out some good vibes for me. If you can do that for me, and then if I find out on Monday, then you guys will all find out on Monday, basically.
Excellent. Can you just tell us if it's your accent or an American accent?
It'd be an American accent.
Okay, I know that's vague. Hey, thank you very much, Bob. Bob's photo ops are at noon. I was just told to remind you and tell you Bob's photo ops are at noon.